So, Daron, we were joking around before we got started here. It seems like every time that I'm talking with you and there's a problem with the internet or something like that, or we're on a call, you seem to be at a lake or something. This is kind of your jam.
Yeah, it's contractually obligated. There has to be water in the background at some point. No, it's been weird. And I've been at a lake more times this summer than I think I have in like the past 3 years. It just worked out.
So you don't live on a lake. Everyone thinks you live on a lake.
No, and now I live like 5 minutes from this lake, but I'm not on it.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of lakes in Indiana. I mean, a little more up in northern Indiana, but no, I don't live on a lake. I don't have a lake house, but I have strategically and wisely made friends who live on lakes and have lake houses. So if you're a good enough friend, you get the invite from time to time.
Yeah. Well, it's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, you said pick a great location that came up to me like immediately, and I mean the sunset behind us is going to be amazing. We got the beams of light coming over the clouds right now. It's unreal.
It's absolutely gorgeous.
For me, I grew up in Arizona, which I love mountain, like southwest mountain desert vibe. That's my jam. That and the beach, but so I have chosen to live in Indiana now for over 25 years, and so if I'm going to be in the Midwest in Indiana, I've got to there's got to be some positives, around it. So lakes are positive. You got to find your if cornfields aren't your only jam, you got to find some things to mix in the Midwest.
Well, and cornfields are all around us right now. Like we were driving over here, and the guys are like, "Wow, whoa, what is this, Indiana?"
Yeah,
yes,
there's lots of corn.
Yeah,
lots of corn.
Yeah. Man. Well, yeah, you guys will have to get some shots of the sunset with us in it since we're not sharing that on the cameras here. But so a year and a half ago, I was given a book, and you probably are sick of talking about this, but it's called Death of a Dream.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah. And I was encouraged to read it, and I got to be honest, and I've talked with you about this. I didn't want to read it.
Okay.
I mean, just from a standpoint of, we'll give you a little free marketing advice. Maybe don't use such a scary title next time.
The publisher said that. They were like, "Can we rename the book? Come up with something better? Something less scary?" And I was like, "No, I want it to be what it is."
Well, honestly, to your credit, and about the book, having read it, and I read the whole thing. But I had to work up the courage to read it because often I think as believers, at least me, sometimes I'm afraid of what God might call me to. I'm afraid of what it looks like, and really that's because I'm selfish at heart. I want to do what I want to do, and often I feel like that automatically means God will call me to something that I don't want to do.
Yeah.
What I have learned in my life is that when I surrender my will, God uncovers desires that are in my heart that I didn't even know were there.
Yeah.
And when I read that book, for me, that's really what it was about. And being like, well, how much do you trust me, Joshua? Do you trust me to allow that dream of yours to fade away and for me to show you what real dreams are about?
Yeah. That was the greatest synopsis of my book I have ever heard one person say.
Wow. Well, it's true. That's what I felt like it was.
Yeah.
And it ministered to me. And so ever since I read that, I wanted to sit down with you having a conversation because I think that you have something to say. And that's why we're here, because I want people to hear what you have to say. And I think it really is appropriate now with where we are in the world and with where we are in business. And we talked about our unique journeys, and we were talking about yours. Let's talk a little bit about that right now, in the sense of, I don't know if you're writing another book, but now we're here to talk about the Rogue Collective.
Yeah.
And there's a little, I don't know if it's in the shot or not, but there's a little sticker on the cooler down there, your brand and your logo, which I think is pretty badass.
Thank you.
So
I would agree.
Yeah.
I didn't design it, but I love it.
Yeah. Well, most of the things that we have that I think are badass, I didn't design. I just take credit for it. So, but before we were sitting down here on my way over here today, I was doing some research and I was telling you about that. And, I first thing I did, I think words are really important.
Yeah.
I mean, to the point that I actually study origins of where words come from. I think about their meaning. Some of the companies that I'm involved with are named Legacy. Our company is named Blackline. All of those things have a meaning and a purpose, and they carry tremendous weight. And so first thing I did was I researched the word rogue because I wasn't fully understanding, and it had some pretty negative connotations to it. And so I made a phone call, and I was like, hey, can you help me? And so the person I was talking with basically looked up rogue, and they're like, no, that's what it is. And so then I said to them, well, there's a bee in his logo. Can you look up rogue bees? Now, I want to stop myself right there. And so tell us one, for those who are listening here, tell us about your logo, and then talk to me, if you wouldn't mind, sharing part of that story that you shared about what you learned about them.
Yeah, so the logo is an octagon with a bee in it that's kind of chopped up into little shapes, whatever. So it doesn't just look like a bee, but you see it, it's a bee.
Yeah.
And it's in a little, no, it's a hexagon. Sorry, it's a hexagon because that's the shape of, the little, whatever they're called in beehives, the little hexagons.
I know what you mean, the honeycomb.
The honeycomb. There we go.
He's put a lot of thought into this logo.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like we're playing like a $100,000 pyramid here. You know what I mean?
There is no money for you at the end of this.
Dang it. So yeah, that was the logo. My buddy PJ Tao put it together. He's a freaking creative genius, and it just brought it together of the idea of bringing subtly bringing the imagery of the beehive into the bee, with the name Rogue Collective, and so yeah, I mean I agree with you. The word rogue is almost always said in a negative context, and so it's kind of weird. It's like, why would you name a personal development, purpose development company under something that is negative? You know what I mean? Like, what company is going to be like, well, could you come in here and really stir our people up to be great rogues? They'll destroy the company.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you did name a book, Death of a Dream.
Well, that's true. I'm really great at naming things. But, the story behind it was life-changing for me. And it was so, the whole process was so life-changing for me. That's kind of what, locked it into like, this is what we have to name, the company, because it dates back a handful of years ago to a good college friend of mine called me, said, hey, I'm driving through Indy and I got something I need to share with you. You got an hour? And I was like, yeah, sure. For you, anything, man. And so he came in and sat down with me, and he said, hey, I've known you since college, and what I know is a lot of times you have felt like you didn't fit, and you have taken on more of an identity as a rebel.
Yeah.
Which you could, rebel, rogue would probably work, together. And he said, I'm
pretty sure rebel is in the definition of rogue, actually. When I looked up the word before, I looked it up related to a bee.
Yeah, it was there.
Yeah.
So he was like, I've known you since college. I know that's true. He said, I'm not much different than you. You know what I mean? I've lived that as well. And that was my story. Kind of coming back to what you had talked about earlier about this idea of always being kind of afraid to trust God. You know what I mean? He's going to ask me to do something I don't want to do. And that was core for me from the beginning.
Yeah.
As a kid, all I wanted to do is be a professional drummer. I just wanted to be a rock star. And I really wanted to be Tommy Lee from Motley Crue, which he is the greatest rock star of like all of the bad and some of the good things that are a rock star. But he was like my, idol growing up as far as a drummer. And when I was in high school, I felt called into full-time ministry. My dad was a pastor, pastored small churches, like 50 people, and there weren't a lot of real innovative, future-creating type people in small churches of 50 people. Not there just wasn't in our church.
Can I interrupt you just for a second?
Yeah.
Because you say something here that I think that we really take for granted in the Christian church culture.
Yeah.
You said you felt called to ministry.
Yeah.
What does it mean for people that are listening that maybe never grew up in that culture? What does it mean for you to feel called to something?
I think I would say my answer would be different today than it was, 30 years ago. So which answer do you want?
I want them both, actually.
So when I was in high school, so I'm at church camp in the summer, right? And this guy comes up, and his name is Jimmy Johnson, amazing speaker. And the whole week he talked about being yoked with Christ. It comes from Matthew chapter 11, where Jesus, anyone who feels, weary or heavy burden, come to me and you will find rest. Take my yoke upon you, and learn from me. For my yoke is easy, my burden is light. And in that, it was his whole context was this invitation to come be yoked with Christ, be yoked for life with him, and walk with him and work with him. And it was a Wednesday night, and it was the night at camp where they're asking if anybody feels God calling them to full-time ministry. And the essence of it is that you hear from the Spirit of God, and by hearing, I'm not saying that there was a loud voice that came out and said, Daron, go in ministry. That didn't happen,
That was impressive.
Oh, thank you. No, and it, it's the still small voice, of the Spirit. It's a sense where you know that something is right. You're being invited into something, what I mean? And so there's an emotional, mental, spiritual part of that. And for me, it was like, man, I sensed it. I was like, felt like God's Spirit was saying, this is, what I want you to do. So, I came forward, went down to the front, everybody's crying. Look at all the kids called to ministry, and they had the youth pastors come up and lay hands on us and pray. And then it's like, oh, let's just celebrate, and there's probably 15 of us or something. I don't know, maybe 20. Down front, and it was like, isn't this amazing? Future pastors, missionaries, they're called.
Come on.
And I felt like that's what happened. Is there some people that get this calling from God, because they're special, and like they made the cut, they were first round draft picks or whatever, and then from that point you start studying for ministry, doing whatever you do. You go get a degree, and they call you a pastor now, and you're like different than everybody else.
Yeah.
And I think in my youth, it was like, yeah, that's cool, and that's my deal. What I didn't understand that I do now is really the tragedy of that night. And I think the tragedy of probably, I don't know, a couple 100,000 camps that have happened, if not 1 million since then in different contexts, and maybe even happening, this summer sometime, is 15 of us left camp feeling like called. And then there was probably 300 kids. They were just sitting there.
Wow.
Right? Although here's the special. These are people that Jesus really loves. So these people have a calling. So I guess I'll try to find a career. Like I'll go and make my job, my identity, and what's the church's expectation? Well, here's what we would like. And sorry if you feel the cynical knob being turned up a little bit, but hey, here's what we need you to do. If you could come to service maybe 3 times a month and maybe serve what we do here. And then what would be really cool is if you could tithe. So
For those that are listening that don't know what tithing is, what does that mean?
That means that you're going to contribute at least 10% of your income back to the church.
Money.
Okay. So if you could show up and participate and give money to help us do what the called people do.
Yeah.
So some people are called and they have this great adventure. They join God in what he's doing and created the future. And then other people get to be spectators. Right? And so I think maybe I know I didn't know how to understand that, the dichotomy of that and the wrongness of that when I was a kid. But it's been a big part of everything that's fueled me ever since trying to come to the place of realizing, no, here's the reality. If you're walking and breathing and you're on earth.
Come on.
There's a calling in your life. There's a great purpose for your life. You were created.
All of the kids at the camp.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody. There's different spheres of influence and spheres of society that you are going to step into and make a difference in.
Yeah.
But there's no hierarchy here.
Yeah, come on.
Right? So I think now the way I would answer is what is a calling is I think every single day there's an opportunity to step into a calling. I think one of the most beautiful things is that I believe that there is actually a living God and that he wants to speak to us, right? And he speaks to us every day in everyday type of ways. And so now, for me, the way I measure if my life is growing and going in the way it was designed to is every day I've got to answer 2 questions.
Come on. This is getting good.
And they are, what is God saying to me? and what am I going to do about it?
Ooh.
And if I can answer those two questions every single day, then I'm stepping into my calling. And the idea of calling for me, Joshua, goes back to, and it, I think this is key for every listener as well, is we have this obsession with occupation, which is really a lot of times even what that early calling was. Well, now that means you get a church job.
Yeah.
Right? Well, for me, human beings are never defined, and we're not created to be defined by occupations. That's a job.
Yeah.
My mentor, Dave Gibbons, says it like this, that a job is like the uniform you wear. Your life actually has a calling, and that is a vocation. So human beings have a vocation. Every single human being has a vocation, a calling on their life. We just all wear different uniforms.
Yeah.
And so getting to the place of helping people hear the voice of God. How do you know? What is he saying to me today? What does he ask me to do? What am I going to do about it? And then how do I respond to that type of vocation? And I think it takes on, there's tons of different jobs. I mean, I look at my resume, everything that you've done, like you've had, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 different jobs. You didn't become a different human being every time you took a new job.
Yeah.
You didn't become a different human being every time you started a new company, right? And so it's that idea of understanding the essence of what we are. We're human beings.
Come on.
Right? Created on purpose and for a purpose, by a relationship, for relationships. We're not human doers. Right? We're not put on earth to do. We're put on earth to be.
Ooh.
Right? And that's a big part of what Rogue Collective is because for me, the whole process was me never feeling like I fit. Didn't feel like I fit in the church world. Didn't want to go be a local church pastor. I wanted to be a rock star. I wanted to be a drummer. And the whole time I was afraid if I really did the things that God was inviting me into, he was going to screw up my life.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you're the cosmic killjoy that takes all the fun stuff away. Like, and then I have to go do something super scary, which for me, super scary was I knew it. I knew he was going to call me to go be a missionary somewhere in the bush of somewhere where they had tons of poisonous snakes and like, and I had real research on this, Joshua, because I have the story in my book is, growing up, we'd always have, missionaries come visit our church, right? And they would always be, they were weird.
Yeah.
Okay. They were super socially awkward. They always had the same 4-pocket khaki shirt. It was, canvas type. I don't know. I think they handed out at like missionary school. It's like, you're a missionary.
It was like Urkel, Indiana Jones.
Yes. Here's your shirt.
Yeah.
And some of them had body odor. I'm not banging on all missionaries.
Wow.
But because they came to our house. So I was very, very, familiar with, and I have a very, very sensitive nose, but they would come and they would tell their stories, and they would always have like a slideshow of the things they were doing in, Papua New Guinea or Sierra Leone, somewhere. And inevitably they always had a big snake skin on their little table, of the massive anaconda they killed, the week before that had eaten 12 kids from the village and 2 goats or whatever. And that's what I thought about, dude. If I get serious about this Jesus thing and I really give him my life, like that's it. No drumming, no rock star, nothing I really want to do. He's going to make me do something I hate, and I have to do it because he's God. And so this whole rebel thing started to really sink in, right?
Right.
So
now we're coming back to the Rogue Collective and your friend.
We've really gone all the way around the barn on this one, haven't we?
No, it's good. This is good. I mean, you're getting the real stuff.
Okay. So
before we get back into it,
okay,
let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Just kind of a nice mile marker segue. What's something, a piece of gear or a tool that you just cannot live without?
Man, I hate making like one. Like, can I have like a goodie bag of gear?
Go for it. A goodie bag of gear. I like that. You're like Oprah's favorite things.
Yes. You get a car. You get a car. Man,
I saw some coming in here. I'll take any one of those.
Yeah, they're nice ones. I freaking love my wireless headphones. Like I always listen to music, podcasts, everything. Like so I think that seems lame. I feel like it should be something bigger. But my wireless headphones, this is also lame. I don't know how I would function without my iPhone. That's also a lame answer.
That is a lame answer. But I was about to say, well, wireless headphones aren't that lame. People have said their iPhone, but then you doubled down.
Well, because they combo together.
Wireless headphones without the iPhone.
And then this is the most cliche thing I could possibly say, being who I am and doing what I do. But
it's true.
I'll just be honest. like my go-to must-have piece of gear is the Bible, man.
Come on.
Like it's my core connection to the source. It guides, it directs, convicts, it encourages, it inspires. It's my lifeline, man.
I get it. That's good.
And I listen to my Bible on my iPhone in my wireless headphones.
Oh, I love it. That's awesome. That's awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
This sunset is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, we picked a great night.
Yeah, we did. So Rogue Collective.
Rogue Collective. So this dude comes in. He says, listen, I got to tell you this. He said, I was interviewing for a job a couple months ago. He said, I was in my last interview with the guy. And this is one of my college buddies. And he's been doing dangerous type missions work over in Africa and stuff like that. Like,
He killed the snake.
Yeah, totally. And he needed a little more stability in his life and his family, so he was looking to get a full-time job at this church he was helping out at. And so he's in his last interview, and the pastor asks him a question, and he answers it, and the offer letter is sitting on the desk in front of him.
Yeah.
He answers the question, and the lead pastor reaches across, he grabs the offer, and he pulls it back. He says, I can't offer you this job. And my buddy was like, I'm freaking out. Like, thinking, what did I say? Like, did I curse or something? Like, what happened, right? And he says, you ever heard of rogue bees? And my buddy's like, this is getting even weirder, right? I just lost this job, and now you're going to take me on a National Geographic, special. He's like, no, I've never heard of rogue bees. And he's like, here's the deal. He said, every beehive, about 90% of the bees are worker bees. And they all just do the same thing. They follow a little waggle dance that the other worker bees are doing. They go, they get the nectar, they bring it back, they make the honey. He said, but in every hive, there's about 10% of the bees that are rogues. And he said, forever, everybody that observed this thought those rogue bees were just being rebels. They were just like, screw it, I'm not doing what you guys do. I'm just doing my own thing. I'm not helping. They were a problem. They were rogues. Yeah. They were rebels. They said, but as the researchers kept paying attention, what they realized is that there was a great purpose to the rogue bees. Is they would go out on these crazy adventures, and sadly, most of the rogue bees die on their adventure, don't make it back to the hive. But the ones that do make it back, what they were doing is they weren't being rebels. They were going to find the future.
Come on.
They were going to find the next food source for the hive. They would find it. They'd come back. They'd communicate to the worker bees, and they created the future for the hive. And so he said, here's the deal. Without the hive, or he said, without the rogues, the hive dies. But without the hive, the rogues lose their purpose. And he said, you're a rogue bee, and if I give you this worker bee job, it'll kill you.
Wow.
So my buddy looked across the desk from me, and he said, Daron, listen, man, I've known you for over 25 years. He's like, you felt like a rebel most of your life, and you're not. He said, you're a rogue bee. And Josh will tell you, man, that was like, it felt like 1,000,000 pounds of guilt, of misunderstanding, of frustration.
Come on.
Just fell off my back of like finally being able to sense an identity that made sense and brought freedom, not captivity or struggle. And so that's why we named the company Rogue Bee, because I know that I don't know that I've ever met anybody that completely feels like they fit in their life.
Yeah.
That maybe they felt like, well, you can't do this, or you're not supposed to do that, or this can't be what you do. And so as they struggle, they usually when they're struggle, Joshua, I've found that most human beings translate that negative personally. There must be something wrong with me.
Yes.
Right? And when we feel like we don't fit, when we feel like when we have wrong beliefs about ourselves, when we have wrong beliefs about God, when we have wrong beliefs about ourselves, when we have wrong beliefs about others, wrong behavior follows.
Yeah, come on, that's
right.
The truth.
That's where the rebellion comes in. And so for me, what I want to help people realize is I want to help them discover who they were really created to be. Step into this, living this rogue way. Because even if you feel like I was doing some coaching and development with a company out in Washington, a great dirt world company named Game Inc., killing the game out there and killing the game. Game Inc. is the company. That wasn't supposed to, no pun intended. And one of the guys said, hey, I kind of feel like a worker bee, though. Like, I just like to work. And I said, well, I get it. I said, I'm not saying everyone has to be someone who goes out and takes great risks. And not everybody's a pioneer. Not everybody's an innovator, right? I said, but here's the deal, is there's a narrow way to live this life best, and there's a really, really wide way. And the majority of people are just getting in line and doing life as everyone tells them to do it, as culture tells them to do it, as society tells them to do it, as the job they're working says, this is the way we behave, this is the way you got to be. And sadly, I feel like most people just get in line and take, get their little tray of life and say, yeah, just give me whatever everybody else is having.
Yeah.
And I think for us to live the life, I mean, if we were, Josh, if we were given a life,
Come on.
Statistically, the fact that either of us are actually made it alive, right?
Yeah.
If we won the lottery enough to get a chance to walk this earth, like, we have to embrace more of a rogue spirit that says, I have to find my purpose, and I have to be willing to risk my life in the process of creating the future that God put me on earth to step into.
Yeah.
So that's Rogue Collective.
I think that is so appropriate, because I think there are so many people that miss it in being successful because they're too afraid to take the risks that are involved with that, of what other people might say, what the other bees might say, what the other people around them might say. I just heard a guy say this the other day, very, very successful guy, Alex, I'm going to try not to butcher his name, Alex Hormozy, and he made the comment that, you know, most people don't become billionaires because they're not willing to do what it takes to become billionaires. And he goes, you know, they're too concerned about, and their friends don't want them to do those things because, and the reason that people kind of the crabs in the bucket mentality is because, well, that highlights the fact that those people aren't taking the risks that they should be taking.
Yeah.
In order to realize what it is they've been made to do.
Yeah. And I think it even comes down even outside of, you know, take it away from occupation or career risk is if life is relationships and everything else is just the details, which is what Gary Smalley said, and I believe it. Like, well, what creates great relationships? Well, things like this: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, self-control, ideas like forgiveness, mercy, right? And the majority of our entire world operates just opposite of that. And then we can't figure out, why do we have all these issues in society, right? Why do we have these shootings? Why do we have the things that have been happening in our culture? Well, because not enough of us are really awakening to this rogue spirit that says everyone else is doing it this way. But tell you what, it's not popular. It's not the majority. But here's how I'm going to live. I'm going to live for things like faith and hope and love and joy and peace and patience and forgiveness. Like, and if we as individuals begin to live with that rogue way type mentality, and then you can inject that into your business. Like you can do behavior management with your people all day long. Get them to come to meetings on time. Get them to fill out their safety reports correctly. Get them to follow all the behaviors you want, right?
Absolutely.
And it'll function. Right. But as an employer, as a business leader, like, you have these amazing souls that you get access to 40 to 60 to 80 hours a week. And like
more than their own families.
And are you teaching them to be great employees, or are you doing something to say, you know what, here's what we want to do. We want to awaken, equip, and empower you to be the best human being you can possibly be. So what that means is you're going to dominate at work. You're going to dominate at home. You're going to be an amazing husband, wife, dad, mom, like, and at play. You're going to be one of the best friends that anyone has. And the buzzkill of it all, Joshua, is like, I don't know if people realize this, that none of us make it out of this alive.
It's the one thing that's for certain.
Right. And there'll be a day where we're all going to have a funeral, and there's going to be people that come to it. And the question is that I think we need to struggle with a little bit more is, hey, when it's all over, what do I want people to actually say about my life? Like, who do I want there and what I want them to say? And if I actually have a vision for what I want that to look like, then I probably need to start making some real decisions today. You know what I mean?
I've been thinking a lot about that lately. If my life ended today, what would people say? And I do think that we need to pay more attention to that. We need to think about those things. And, you know, and what you're talking about with being rogue and taking risk, I think that's something, especially as people who believe what you and I believe, that are living out at work, that are doing things. The other reality is, I think that we need to be more okay with being that rogue bee, even in our faith at work. And we need to not be afraid of it. Because the reality is, you do what you believe. Now, hear me out when I say this. That means if you're not doing it, then do you really believe it? And I would argue, you know, there's a verse in the New Testament that scares the ever-living crap out of me. And it's where Jesus says, I don't know you. And when you read the context around that verse, he says, that I was naked and you didn't clothe me. I was hungry and you didn't feed me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, as believers, it's like, so when that person needed me and I wasn't there, what was that me not being there for Jesus?
Mm.
And it's like, and I think that listen, I'm not a pastor. I am just an electrician that knows how to use a screwdriver and not all that well. But this is what I believe, that it's about living our life for him. And when we do that, that's when that fulfillment comes.
Yeah.
That's when that satisfaction comes. And it's like the rogue bees that bring back the food for the rest of them for the next level. Quite honestly, if God is who he says he is, then we're going to survive.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be the ones bringing that back.
Yeah.
But we have to keep him at the forefront of what we're doing in order for that success to become a reality.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And I think as believers at work, sometimes we get, and listen, it happens to me, but we get sidetracked by what the world says is important.
Yeah.
And we miss it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think some of it too comes into, like I said before, wrong beliefs about God, wrong beliefs about myself, wrong beliefs about others create wrong behaviors. And I think one of the things that is difficult is, I think, some of the traditional Western perspective on God that has come across through a lot of religious, teaching.
Yeah.
Is God's angry, God's mad at you, God's frustrated at you. Like, God really wants to send you to hell, but unfortunately his son, got in the way. Like, God was, like, Old Testament God, really angry. And then somewhere between Malachi and, like, Matthew, like, Jesus shows up. He's like, hey, Dad, calm down, bro. Right? Like, we're going to save these people. And then the father's like, oh, gosh, I guess so. And that's that wrong belief. And I think what happens in that is sometimes when we say, hey, Christians, we need to be more bold in our faith, we hear, oh, I need to go be more right.
Oh, come on.
I need to go argue, and I need to be better at arguing this. It's like, how about this? How about this? How about just be more bold in being more loving?
Yeah.
Be more patient. Be more kind. Be more gentle. Be more forgiving.
Yeah.
Right? Be more full of joy.
Yeah.
Right? Because if that's what God is, if God is love, that's what he says. What is it? I'm love. So go be more loving. Well, what if I lose the argument? Well, what if that's not the point?
Yeah.
And it's with the least of these. It's with a cup of cold water or a cocktail or a coffee, of like serving someone, caring for them, seeing them, knowing them, right? Being able to actually affirm and encourage people, being able to bless people in what we're a part of. And it's like, if we could become more bold than that, and I think the boldness is when someone experiences your love, which not everybody's going to be loving, so that's a rogue way to do it. I think the boldness is when someone says, hey, man, why do you care?
Yeah.
You don't edit yourself and say something.
Come on.
Like, well, I mean, just, hey, man, you're a good bro, man. We're all working on the crew together.
Come on.
Like, be bold and say, dude, if I'm honest, it's because I've experienced the love of Jesus and it changed my life.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to figure out how to love people the way that he loves them. I think that's a part. I've been talking to a buddy last week about it. It's like, those of us that tried our best to follow Jesus, so often our boldness is we just edit our conversations at work.
Yeah, we do.
Like, if I'm talking to somebody who I know has faith, I'm going to say what I'm really struggling with, what I'm working through, and where I'm finding solutions. And then I get to work, and I'm like, it was just a tough day. I got through it, or something.
Yeah.
And we don't bring it back to the source of like, well, there's this source I've gotten connected to. I've gotten plugged in.
Yeah.
And so that I think is key.
Yeah. I think that you say that you think it's key. I think that we really, as if you're a believer or a Christian in the workplace and you're editing yourself, it's one of the things that I think culture right now, society, especially Generation Z, really despises, and that is inauthentic.
Yes.
And it's like, when you edit yourself, you are being inauthentic.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't trust people that aren't authentic.
Yeah.
And if I don't trust you, then I'll be really honest, I don't really feel like I need you in my close circle.
Yeah.
And I would not judge anyone else for that.
Yeah.
And in that regard, I think we really got to think about the way that we answer things.
Mm-hmm.
When we sat down here and we started, I said, we're not going to edit anything that we say.
Yeah.
And the reality is that's because I want people to know that this is an authentic and real conversation.
Yeah.
And we're inviting you into this conversation. We want you to hear about it. And Daron and I are talking about this. Listen, I know that the line is about trades, but I always am saying we want to communicate value of the men and women who do the work. Well, we believe that you have the value because you've been created in the image of God.
Yeah.
And the work that you do has great purpose for those of us who live out life on this planet.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, and so we want to be real and we want to be authentic with you about what it is that we believe. And Daron, that's why I'm so honored to have this conversation with you, because it's like the more that I do this, the more of what I believe comes out.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to push it on anybody, but it's the reality of what I believe.
Yeah.
And I just want to be real about that.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. It's an invitation.
Yeah.
You know, that's something when my mentor, Dave Gibbons, really changed my perspective last year when he said, hey, man, everything in life is a response.
Yeah.
Nothing is initiative. And when I first heard it, I was like, what? Like, because I'm a pretty quick start initiative type of guy, you know.
Didn't notice.
Yeah, well, which has gotten me in trouble sometimes. And he said, here's the deal, is the way the universe is set up, because I do believe God's in control and God wants to communicate and guide and direct, is that he initiates everything.
Yeah.
Like in the beginning, God created, like he made all this, right? He's the initiator. And the amazing invitation that we get from him that we can bring to other people is like, hey, great, there's an amazing invitation here. You can like actually team up with the source of all life and love and the greatest creator, the greatest innovator, the best ideas, anything you need, he's there. And the invitation is, hey, come be yoked with me, follow me, let's walk together.
Yeah.
And so our whole, opportunity in life is to respond to what he's doing. And I think if we could do that with people and like make it more when we're even talking about our faith, it's not like we're not trying to win something. Man, we're just trying to invite people and give them an opportunity to respond.
Absolutely.
Like you said, we're not shoving it down people's throats.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not forceful here. It's just, man, this is an amazing invitation. I'd love for you to respond to it. You know what I mean? And I think that can change the trajectory and the atmosphere of the conversation a lot of times.
Well, I think you talk about we are to be loving, and I think that's interesting, so especially in the trades. we tend to be, what's the word that I want to use here? Not tough. I want to say something different, but like gritty or, and it's like, when you hear the word loving, you can be like, oh, well, that's like frou-frou, or it's soft, or it's this. No, I mean, I actually think that love is exactly the opposite of soft.
I agree.
I think that love is, especially real love, and if you understand the definition of what God's love is, and that's the type of love that we are to have with people, it's not soft at all.
No.
And it's about truth.
Yeah.
And it's about communicating that in a way. There's a verse, and I don't remember where it is, but I remember reading it once, and it just grabbed me. And I think it was in Acts, and it said, assume the best. And I was like, that's not natural for me.
Yeah.
Like something happens, like I have all these, maybe you listening, you don't struggle with this, but I have these voices in my head that are like, oh, he said that, and that means that he's probably thinking this. I'll give you a really good example. You remember when you're a teenager and you're dating a girl and she doesn't call you back.
Yeah.
That's what it was when I was dating. There was not texting. She doesn't call you back for a few days, and you're like, oh, that date went horribly. She doesn't, think that I'm cool. She doesn't want to see me again, all this stuff. And it's like, we have these voices in our head.
Yeah.
And it's not true.
Yeah.
And we need to take control of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in the absence of communication, we always fill it in with negative.
Yeah.
I think we always assume the worst of others in that too. And then we tell ourselves a huge story. Yeah. And then respond to that, which is usually not true. And it's not loving. Like you said, like love is soft. No, love actually takes a lot of courage. And so it's unbelievably courageous to actually ask the question, to actually go and engage and say, hey, fill in the blank with that. You know what I mean? Like, help me out with this. Help. Here's a story I'm telling myself, right? Am I right in this? Like, difficult, crucial conversations, they take a lot of courage.
Yeah.
Right. And that's one of the most loving things we can do. I think Brene Brown says it like this, like, clear is kind.
Yeah.
Like being clear with something. And
Yeah.
and sometimes that feels, I know for me a lot of times it feels, really scary. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? To say what you mean, or to be open to hear what somebody else has to say. But yeah.
Well, and that's really essential in leadership, whether you're in a company, whether you're in a family relationship, in any relationship.
Yeah.
Being clear, and it's like, it is difficult because, maybe you're an employer, and maybe being clear means you lose that employee. But is it better that they continue to work not knowing the truth of what you think or feel?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean that's what love is, and there's a way to communicate it. Like you said something earlier about responding, and I remember years ago, I learned something about responding versus reacting. And I was helping my wife. She manages a cut flower farm that we have on our property, and we had certain things that we had to get done, and I'm there with my kids, and they were all younger, mid-teens. And I'm all about efficiency. I'm in business mode. I got my work hat on, and I only have so much time to do what she needs done.
Yeah.
And farming has this cool thing where it doesn't wait for you.
Correct.
If you miss it, you're screwed. And I'm on the tractor, and I'm yelling at my kids to do this, and they're not understanding, and I'm getting more frustrated, and so I'm reacting to this, and I'm reacting to this, and all of a sudden, God has never spoken to me audibly, but I had this thought enter my mind, and like, this is what it was. Hey, moron. They don't know because no one taught them. Like, this is the conversation going on in my head. And then I'm like, oh, who's supposed to teach them? Oh, I'm supposed to teach them.
It's me.
And so I had this moment where I was like, oh, I keep reacting to them not knowing what to do. So I turned the tractor off, and I made a mental agreement with myself where I'm like, however long this takes, if I'm late for work, however long this takes, I'm going to do this with them, and I'm going to explain it to them, and it's going to take me 3 times as long.
Yeah.
I actually think that applies to work.
Yeah.
I think that we do this thing where we react all the time. When love responds, it doesn't react.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. And it's not natural.
No.
But being loving means that I'm going to do what's not natural for me.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think in the process, you have to answer a really difficult question: is what do I care more about? Right? Do I care more about the task getting done, or do I care about the people that are doing it?
Oh, come on. Come on.
And I get it. There are timelines. There are profit lines. There, jobs need to get done. I mean, I'm not saying we need to be inefficient and dumb with the way we run our business, but if we don't care about the people that are doing it, eventually there's no one to do the job, and then your profitability is really shot.
Well, let's just be real about that. There's profitability like they do on Wall Street, where they're looking to make money by next Tuesday.
Yeah.
And then there's what we call legacy profits, which means I'm building a 100-year-old company.
Yeah.
And I'm in year 5 or whatever it is, but I'm building for 100 years. Like, there's actual studies that show that, there are companies that have been really profitable in a quarter, but then you can be really profitable, like exponentially more profitable over time.
Yeah.
And what is more important to you? And that comes back to, well, what are people going to say? And if it's about being a human being, they matter.
Yeah.
Like, I want to invest in people's lives. And let's just be real. If you make more than 30 grand, you are in the top 3%, I think, you can check me on this, but it's close, of the world's wealthiest people.
Yeah.
So right out of the gate, we're doing pretty well here in the United States of America.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Darren, as it's getting darker, which you guys can probably see on camera, but what's a mistake that you've made in life that you'd be willing to share with us?
When I was in my 20s, late 20s, I was trying to start this bar ministry we did called Pub Theology.
Yeah.
And the idea was, I was like, man, I've been preaching at this church now for, almost 7 years. And a lot of times I'm talking to the same people saying the same things. And then, across the street at the bar, wherever else, there's a bunch of people that they're never going to come inside our church. And, I just had this, I got to go talk to them. I want to go make a difference there, was the heart behind it. And I'd become a professional drummer. I did get to do that. God gave me the chance to do that. I traveled the country playing drums, and we played a lot of bars and stuff. Got to play Sunset Strip in L.A., like that stuff. So I'd had experience doing that. But we started doing that, and at that point, I was in a denomination that was like teetotal on alcohol, no drinking. You couldn't drink, smoke, chew, or date girls that do. And so in my rebellion, right, against the rules, I was like, well, if we're going to go to the bars, I'm going to drink.
Yeah.
Because we got to be able to connect. We got to be authentic,
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily wrong in strategy, but what was wrong was I had agreed, as long as I was a part of this denomination, I wouldn't do it.
Come on.
Right. So I'm losing my integrity in the process. Wow. So it was more of this philosophy that the ends justify, or the means justify the ends. Ends
justify the means.
Ends justify the means. That's what I was trying to say. And so when I was at the bar, or I was around people that I couldn't get in trouble, where I would start drinking, and I had good intentions.
Yeah.
And the road to hell is paved
with good intentions. Yeah.
And over a few years, what I realized is I had allowed myself to start living a double life.
Ooh.
And justifying it by, well, I'm trying to do good.
Yeah.
And the enemies, had a field day with that.
Yeah.
And I got into the place where, I wasn't, an alcoholic or anything like that by any means, but I gave myself way too much license in that season. Yeah. And I hurt myself, hurt people close to me. I wasn't proud of a lot of my decisions or behaviors in some of that season. And it was a shorter season, but then I had to come to the place where I had to realize, okay, like, for the rest of my life, I'm going to be consistent.
Yeah.
I'm not going to allow myself to have a double life where it's like, over here I'm kind of like this, and over here I'm kind of like that. You know what I mean? Like, that's the way I act around my church friends. This is the way I act around my work friends. This is the way I act around, my family. It's if I'm going to be a person of integrity, I got to be the same guy all the time.
Yeah.
And so that was a mistake I made, just allowing myself to carve out some kind of space in my life where there could be a duality, and it doesn't work.
Yeah. What would you say to people who are living that double life right now? Because you obviously dealt with that, and you had to make that decision to deal with it. And I would think that was pretty scary.
Yeah.
And there are probably people that are listening. They're like, you don't understand, Daron. I've been doing this for a while. Mm-hmm. I'm really good at this. Mm-hmm. And it would be devastating for me to end that. And it would hurt people, Daron. It would mess things up. What do you say to them? How do you do that?
Well, the fallacy is that your double life is not going to hurt someone or is not currently hurting someone.
Come on.
And potentially it's going to destroy you.
Ooh.
In fact, I would say even stronger, it is destroying you.
Mm.
Like, you're destroying yourself because you're not a whole human being.
Yeah. Like,
you're parceling off your life in these little things, and you think it's working, but it's like, driving a car that, like, maybe it functions. It's a V8 and you got 4 cylinders. You're like, well, I'm still driving. Yeah. It's like, well, you know the capacity that you actually have. And so I would say what you need to realize is this, and I don't remember who told me this or who I'm borrowing this from, but in life you have a choice. You can humble yourself.
Come on.
Or life will humiliate you.
Ooh.
And so if you've got a duality of your life right now and you're like, man, I can't get out of this, it's been too long, and the devastation is going to be too great. No, if you don't get out of it, the devastation is going to be even greater.
Yeah.
And so you need to humble yourself. You need to decide. I would say humble yourself and decide which person you're going to be. Fall off the log one way or the other.
Yeah.
And you got to make that decision what kind of person you want to be. Like, we come back to what we said at the beginning. You're gonna die someday, and people are going to show up at your funeral. Maybe.
Yeah.
And they're going to say something about you.
Yeah.
And if you humble yourself today, you may just be able to turn the ship around on the humiliation that may be coming.
I once heard very experienced tradesman make this comment. I was working on a job, and it was not going well. Like, the overall project was not going well. Our team had made multiple mistakes on the job, and I just felt like there was no way to turn it around or to change it. And this tradesman, he said to me, he goes, it really isn't about what's happened. It's about how you decide to finish. And he said, no one will remember what's happened, but everyone will remember how you finished the job.
That's so good.
And it was huge for me in business to learn that in my mind, because we're going to make mistakes and we're going to do things wrong.
Yeah.
But people remember how you finish. And I've had jobs that we have failed on, but we finished well.
Yeah.
Those clients still call me back. Because they know that once we realize where we failed, that we're going to finish well.
Yeah.
And I would say to your statement to people that are living a double life, or maybe even living a life that you realize that you're maybe not living the way that you should or that you want to,
Yeah.
or realizing you need to make a change. There isn't this thing where you're 40 and it's too late. You're 50 and it's too late. You're 60 and it's too late. You're 75 and it's too late. I don't believe in too late.
Yeah.
If you're still breathing, then you still have a decision to finish well.
Yeah.
And you can change duality of life. You can change purpose. You can change everything. It's just not too late. And so you can find your way back to the hive with the resources that are needed to bring life to people.
Yeah. Spot on, dude.
Yeah.
Spot on.
Darren, I really appreciate sitting here with you, getting real. It seems like the darker it got, the more real it got. It's funny how that happens on a lake as it calms in the evening.
Yeah.
You ever notice that, how the water just gets still as glass?
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. Darren, if you had one thing that you would want to say to people as we leave here tonight,
Yeah.
what would you say to them? Or what a goodie bag of things that you would want to say, because you don't like to boil it down to one thing.
I don't. You know, I'd have to go back to what I say all the time to people, is you are created on purpose and for a purpose.
Come on.
And you've got to discover that.
Yeah.
It's not a mystery. God's not playing hide and seek from you. He's been continually, lovingly, gently inviting you into that purpose.
Come on.
And when you find it, when you step into it, life is not perfect. It is not easy. But you operate with peace. You operate with purpose. You operate with passion. And that's the way you want to live.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've dedicated my life and started a company and done everything I can to come alongside people and help them discover that purpose, awaken them to it, equip them to step into it, and then empower them to really go and step out to create the future.
So if I am operating a company, I'm in leadership in an organization, and I want to bring the Rogue Collective. What is it? Is it Rogue Collective or Rogue B?
Rogue Collective.
Rogue Collective. I want to bring the Rogue Collective into my company.
Yeah.
To help communicate that, invest in that, and grow that. Where do I find you?
RogueCollectiveCoaching.com.
Okay. What does that look like when you come into my organization?
Yeah, I mean, we customize it to what people need. Some clients, I'm coming in and they just say, we want to just kind of inspire people. Come in and do an hour keynote, get the people fired up, get them inspired to think differently, and that can be a 60-minute, 90-minute deal. Other companies, I come in and do quarterly, like half-day workshops where we take people through. We have 3 modules of training. One's called the 4 Noble Quests, one's called the 4 Core Questions, and one's called the 4 Foundations. And so we can go through that in quarterly workshops. I've got other companies, and this is one of my favorite things to do, is I come in for a day a month, and we can work up to up to 16 people per cohort. So we break them up into 4 groups of 4. And we come in and do 90-minute development trainings with the groups of 4 in a day. And so every month we go through, and it takes us 8 months to get through each one of the modules. But with the monthly rhythm, I love that because the quarterly is great. And if you can't get people and take enough time, I get it.
Yeah.
But being able to be with these groups and having a group small enough that we can really go after it, we can really get into stuff going on in their life, in their leadership. They can really make changes. That is my favorite way that we work with the company, coming in doing the monthly day trainings. And so, like I said, and we can work up to we can work. I can't say this sentence. We can work with up to 16 people at a time.
Okay.
And so, yeah, 1 hour, 1 day, quarterly, monthly.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for stepping up to the line, man. I greatly appreciate it.
I appreciate the invitation. It was a joy to respond to it, man.